Welcome to Once Upon English.
What if you woke up tomorrow and only 1% of your DNA had changed? Your thoughts run faster, your feelings run deeper. The world looks the same, but people no longer call you just human. Would you keep that change or trade it all to be yourself again? This is the story of 1%. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing you are no longer completely human, not a monster, not a robot, just something slightly different. Only 1% of your DNA has changed. Tiny, invisible. And yet, that small change has rewritten everything you are. Your senses are sharper. Your mind runs faster. Your emotions feel deeper. But people look at you differently. They feel something is off. So here's the question. What happens if only 1% of human DNA changes? Would we still be human? Or would we become something entirely new? Today, we dive into one of the most fascinating stories in science. A story about life, identity, and evolution. The code of life. Inside every cell of your body lies a hidden book. It's called DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. It's a long, elegant molecule made of 4 letters, A, T, C, and G. Together, these letters form your genetic code, a kind of biological software that builds and runs you. Everything, the color of your eyes, the sound of your voice, the way you smile, is written in that code. And that code is astonishingly similar between all living things. Did you know? You share 60% of your DNA with a banana, 85% with a mouse, and 98.8% with a chimpanzee. So what does that mean? It means that the difference between you and a chimp, a creature that walks on 4 legs and lives in trees, is less than 1.2% of your genetic code. In DNA language, 1% is not small. It's 30 million letters of the code, 30 million changes. Each one could rewrite a piece of what you are. Now, imagine all of them shifting at once. What is a mutation? Sometimes, a tiny error happens when DNA copies itself. A single letter changes. We call this a mutation. Most of the time, it means nothing. But sometimes, one mutation changes everything. It can make a plant grow faster, it can make an animal stronger, or it can make a person sick. Evolution, the story of life, is basically the story of millions of successful mutations over billions of years. Every living thing is a collection of ancient mistakes that somehow worked. So if 1% of our DNA changed, we're not talking about one small mistake. We're talking about a storm in the code of life. What could 1% change do? Let's imagine a few possibilities. Scenario 1. The enhanced brain. What if that 1% focused on the parts of the brain that handle memory, language, and logic? Maybe humans could remember entire books after reading them once. Maybe we could speak 10 languages naturally, or see connections in the universe that we can't see today. Would that be evolution, or something beyond it? Scenario 2. The emotional shift. What if 1% of DNA changed the chemistry of empathy and emotion? Maybe humans would finally understand each other perfectly. Wars might end. Or maybe emotions would become too strong. So strong that sadness, anger, or love could literally break the brain. Scenario 3. The physical mutation. What if our bones became lighter but stronger? Our muscles faster? Our eyes able to see in the dark or beyond visible light? Would we still recognize ourselves in the mirror? 1% can be a miracle or a disaster. The story of Ida. Let me tell you a story. Her name was Ida. She was born in the year 2050, in a world where gene editing was as normal as laser eye surgery. Before she was born, her parents made one small decision. They allowed scientists to optimize just 1% of her DNA. They said it would help her learn faster, stay healthy, and live longer. And it worked. Ada could read before she could speak. She could solve complex problems before kindergarten. Her brain was like a living supercomputer. But something else happened too. She couldn't sleep. She could hear sounds other people couldn't. And sometimes, she looked at her parents and wondered, why do they feel so slow? So different. At age 16, she realized she could process emotions in milliseconds. She could see lies, feel sadness, predict anger. She became both the most understanding and the most lonely person on earth. Her friends started calling her the next step. But inside, she felt lost. She began to ask, if just 1% made me this way, what happens if I change another percent? And that's when she made a decision that changed everything. The cost of perfection. Ada decided to volunteer for a second modification. Scientists warned her, it could make you something beyond human, or destroy you completely. But she wanted to know the truth. After the procedure, she didn't feel pain. She felt clarity. For the first time, she could see the invisible. The code of life, glowing in everything. She saw energy flowing between people, between trees, between thoughts. And then, she realized something terrifying. She wasn't just observing life. She was connected to it. Every heartbeat, every neuron, every cell around her echoed in her mind. The line between me and the world was gone. She had become what humanity might be one day, if we keep rewriting our own DNA. But in that moment, she whispered something simple. I miss being human. Back to us. So what do we learn from Ada's story? It's not just about science, it's about identity. DNA is not only a code, it's the language of who we are, a delicate balance between perfection and imperfection. Our flaws make us real. Our limits make us human. Maybe that's what keeps us grounded in a universe of endless possibilities. Yes, we can change our DNA. We can become smarter, stronger, faster. But we must ask ourselves, at what cost? Because the moment we lose that final 1% that makes us imperfect, we might also lose the one thing that makes us truly human. Reflection and challenge. So, if you had the chance to change one tiny piece of your DNA, just 1%, would you do it? Would you choose more intelligence, more strength, a longer life? Or would you choose to stay exactly as you are? Imperfect, emotional, beautifully human? Think about it. Because someday soon, this question might not be science fiction anymore. If this story made you think, if it made you curious about who you really are, don't stop here. Stay with us. Subscribe And let's explore more stories that make you feel, imagine, and learn English in the most exciting way possible. Because the next story might just change the way you see life, 1% at a time.